Welcome to day 12 of Your Health, Your Way. This is 30 days of raw vegan foods, and I'm Kurt. I'll be talking with Lisa tonight about detoxification and healing crises. First, I want to make a brief point of clarification from our last discussion. Yesterday, we talked about mucus and fungus. If you were watching, you might know that we distinguish between the difference between fructose, which is found in fruit, and high fructose corn syrup, which is found often in processed foods. Toward the end, we also introduced glucose, but we didn't provide a clear explanation for that. In short, fructose and glucose are both plant-based sugars that the body uses and can easily digest. So now fructose is found in fruit, and it's the kind of sugar that it's high in energy, and our body uses it for dealing with mucus and fungus like we discussed last night. Glucose is a sugar that's found in vegetables, also high in energy, and it helps us metabolize fructose. Now, high fructose corn syrup is a commercially made product. It's a chemical that our bodies cannot use. It doesn't digest well, and it's oftentimes also referred to as fructose. So that can get a little bit confusing. So the best advice that we can conclude is to try to avoid, or at least limit, processed foods with added sugars, and soft drinks.
Or eat more raw fruits, raw vegetables, and raw soaked seeds and nuts to make it easy.
Exactly. Fructose and glucose.
Yep.
In your raw fruits and your raw vegetables.
That's right.
So, great. Before we start on detoxification, Lisa, how'd your day go?
Today, because I was off of work, I just had more temptations, I guess, out of boredom, and I decided to go ahead and have some cooked foods as part of my 30%. So I did, and it involved some dairy. It was some of my favorite foods, and of course I could feel not as clear, not as energetic, but it's okay. I mean, I didn't overdo it. I did fine.
Okay.
So, but
good.
From now till the rest of the evening, nothing else.
All right.
Or just raw fruits and raw vegetables,
Sure.
if anything else.
A good learning experience.
How about you? How are you doing with your tiredness and such?
Today was relatively uneventful. I had a couple of smoothies, one for breakfast and one for lunch. I also had 2 oranges with my lunch and an in-between snack of 2 apples. When I came home from work this afternoon, I had a couple handfuls of grape tomatoes and a few handfuls of fresh mushrooms. So those were really good. I did notice today that my digestive system is actually functioning a lot more comfortably than I'm used to feeling that function. So something's moving in the right direction. So
literally, right?
Right, literally. Now, speaking of digestion, actually, we often hear the term detox used in conjunction with alcohol addiction or drug addiction. Can you explain what we mean when we talk about detox?
When we're talking about detox, first of all, let's look at the eliminative organs that we have in the body. We have the colon and the kidneys. The skin is considered a third kidney. So if the kidneys are not filtering properly, the skin will try to filter. But if the body is clogged up with mucus due to consuming cooked foods, processed food, you have this accumulation. And the accumulation isn't just from, oh, I had too much today or too much over the weekend. We're talking about accumulations of toxins over a lifetime. Now, again, in different time, and like I've said this before, if you've seen the other videos, at a different time in history, we probably could have just detoxed on our own without any help. But nowadays, because of the food, the amount of food that we eat, the frequency with which we eat the food, and the high amount of processing and cooking and hormones and antibiotics and pesticides that we consume, we need some more help. Unless you have a really strong constitution and, you can do whatever and not, and be up to 90 years old, 100 years old and not have any problems.
Right.
I think we need some help at times, and
Sure.
that's fine.
Sure. Now, if we change to a healthy diet without consciously detoxifying, we can still gain some benefits though, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, eating more raw fruits and raw vegetables is going to help you to detox.
Okay.
However, if you continue eating a lot of cooked foods in addition to raw fruits and raw vegetables, it's like taking one step forward, two steps back. Your body's going to try and eliminate, but then you're going to stuff everything down. Try to eliminate, but then you stuff everything down. Now, what I noticed in me was when I had been about 4 months on 70% raw foods a year and a half ago, I decided to just do raw fruits and vegetables. I wasn't going to add anything else. I just wanted to see how healthy I could get and how good I could feel on just raw fruits and vegetables.
Great idea.
So after 4 months, I decided, let me go for a colonic. And then a month after that, I said, I'm feeling great. I mean, I'm feeling great, but I was curious. I said, let me do some herbal tinctures. In fact, we both did them for a 6-week program just to see, if we would feel better. And for me, I didn't feel much different. I mean, I had already been feeling good with just raw fruits and vegetables. So for me, it didn't make much of a visual difference, but it probably was strengthening my glands in ways that I wasn't even able to notice.
Oh,
now, if I would have been much sicker, or had some kind of condition that I've had for many years over a lifetime, maybe I was in pain, or I was actively taking medications every day for something, I probably could have noticed some difference there. So it just depends how toxic you are and how chronic.
Okay. So what sorts of things can we do to sort of aid the detox process, and what are your suggestions?
Okay, well, first of all, reduce the amount of cooked foods that you eat, especially dairy, sugar, and grains.
Okay.
Another thing you can do that's very easy, first thing when you wake up in the morning, is have a tall glass of water, at least 12, 16 ounces if you can, filtered water, not tap water, never tap water, filtered water, with lemon. Lemon, although is an acidic food, it alkalinizes water and it turns alkaline when it's in your body. In fact, speaking of lemons, one thing that helped me greatly when I was trying to get this mucus out of my system and get off of prescription medications for allergic asthma, I would have my concoction of lemon, ginger, honey, and water 2 times a day, 1 to 2 cups 2 times a day. I did that for about 4 months, and that really helped. Another thing is sweating. Again, the skin is our third kidney, so doing things to help you sweat, like getting into a clean sauna, getting out in the heat, walking, doing rebounding exercises, taking hot yoga. Any of that is going to help bring the toxins out of the skin as well and speed up the process.
Great. Okay, those are some good suggestions for detox. What's a healing crisis?
A healing crisis happens when our toxins are leaving the body. People experiencing a healing crisis might think that, oh, they're sick, they caught something, when in fact it's flu-like symptoms that often happens as mucus is leaving your body. So you might have phlegm, runny nose, stuffy nose, drainage from different orifices of your body, headache, dizziness, fever, nausea, any of that could do that. Tiredness is really common, and you experience some tiredness in this process as well, since you have been doing a lot of cooked before we started these 30 days.
I have.
And what happens is when we feel these things, we'll run to a doctor saying, oh, I feel sick, give me something to stop this.
Right.
So in Western medicine, they give you some medicine for symptom suppression or send you to get some over-the-counter symptom suppressor, and then it ends up staying in your body. Even though you feel better, eventually it's going to accumulate and want to come out.
Okay. So really most of us spend a lot of years building up residual deposits from unhealthy foods that we keep ingesting into our systems, and it takes time for all of that not so good stuff to get its way back out, and that's
you got to have patience.
Right. So we might even feel sick or see physical reactions or mental reactions or emotional reactions,
yeah,
whatever, as our bodies start to release toxins. So you've got the detox process and then the healing crisis, which is really is really toxins coming out.
Yeah, so. And it can be unpleasant.
Right.
It can be unpleasant, and you just, white knuckle it sometimes if you can. Drink lots of water and try and just give your body the opportunity, if you can, to let it come out.
Right. What are some of the concerns that we might have about medicating or suppressing symptoms?
Well, when you take medication, it suppresses the symptoms, and that's usually what Western medicine or allopathic medicine does. But it doesn't treat the problem. It doesn't treat the cause. The number one cause, in my opinion, is what we're putting in and on our bodies, mostly in the form of food. But then there are other things that we put on and in our bodies that are not necessarily food that can also do that. The other thing is stress and emotional issues that are not dealt with. So as we hold in and suppress our thoughts and our feelings, it has an effect on our bodies. When we don't listen to our thoughts and our heart, our bodies are a way that it's like you can't ignore it. When you have pain or discomfort, it's hard to ignore that. And then the third thing is to fix maybe the organ or the gland that has a weakness that may be contributing to the overall poor health. So like when I was eating a lot of grains, dairy, and sugar, my body would try every 4 months or so to eliminate these toxins. And I would try to hang on and just let it run its course. But what would happen with me is the postnasal drip would end up in my lungs, and no matter whether I talked or laughed or breathed deeply, I would start coughing. I would just have a coughing fit. So I'd resort to the inhalers and antihistamines and so on, and steroids. So, but what I noticed in hindsight is that during that time years ago when I was trying to let nature take its course, I was also putting things in my body that were not conducive to healing. I was eating grains, dairy, and sugar. So how can all this stuff get out of my body when I'm stuffing more of the toxins in?
Right.
And to contrast with that, when I was doing mostly raw, and since then, I noticed that when the couple of times that I've started with a little bit of something, I can let it run its course because I'm not stuffing my body with more toxins.
Right.
The most recent time I had a little sinus thing going on, and I was afraid it would end up in my lungs. And I craved, I don't know if this happens to you, but when I'm sick, I crave the very foods that make me sick. I crave dairy.
Right.
I want soup that's made with
Yep.
either flour or heavy cream, dairy, or grains, from the local cafe that comes with a delicious bread and butter, or crackers, and my coffees, and that's what I want when I'm sick, and that just backs everything up again.
Sure.
And when I was raw, when I was doing mostly raw, or since then, when I feel like I was starting to get one of those symptoms, I just stop eating those kinds of foods, or even do like a 1-day water fast with water and lemon, and let it heal. And last time it healed, and I didn't need any of those things. It didn't even go to my lungs. I was really impressed. I was really surprised. I mean, I haven't seen that in like 20 years happen.
Wow.
I've always needed medication.
And you have another example, don't you?
Oh gosh. Someone we both know, she was sick the first week of December. This is now late January, with what you call a cold. Now, interestingly enough, December 5th is right after Thanksgiving. So we have the accumulations of food that we've spoken about before. So she got this cold, and the body was expelling this mucus. She had a cough that wouldn't stop. She couldn't even talk on the phone for weeks. And she ended up having her ear plugged up and ringing in her ear. And I had been telling her, stop the milk, stop the dairy products. Well, she wouldn't listen. So now 6 weeks later, come to find out, she never stopped the dairy. The ringing is still there. She had gone to the doctor, who said, oh, you have earwax. Here's some drops to get rid of it. So she went back a week later. The wax was gone. The ringing is still there. And what happens when you get a cold is the eustachian tubes sometimes will swell up. And what happens is that your lymphatic fluid is not draining. And when you consume things that add to the mucus and that stagnate the lymphatic system, you don't have a way to drain it. So as she's drinking milk, and add to that, it's not just milk, it's a glass in the morning, a glass at night, and it's heated. So which even adds to the acidifying and the mucus proliferating properties. And she just won't believe the effects that dairy has, and she doesn't want to stop the milk. And my guess is she probably has a lot of fungus that is attracting that desire, because when you crave those foods, that's usually the parasites in the body that are craving more of those foods, and it's really hard to give those up.
And so the problem propagates on top of propagation.
Yep, exactly.
And continues to build. So.
And then when she would have the milk at night, she would go to sleep right after drinking warm milk.
And lay down.
And lay down.
Right.
So there's no movement in the lymphatic system all night because you're just laying there. Again, you know, the lymphatic system moves through movement, unlike the blood that moves through the heart pumping it. And it just sits there all night. So the hard thing about knowing what we know and studying what we've studied is watching people make the choices they do, causing them to suffer needlessly or be uncomfortable needlessly. But it's hard, you know, it's not an easy path, and
that's
really
part of our growth too, is to help, is to understand ourselves that other people are going to make different choices, and their paths are going to be different. So
but do it with awareness.
Exactly, like we always say, everything that we do, we try to at least do it with awareness, and we hope that the knowledge we share allows you to do or make decisions that you make with awareness. So to summarize real quick, detoxification is the process whereby our body rids itself of toxins, and a healing crisis then occurs when our body is showing us signs of detoxification. But if we allow it, the body actually has a really remarkable way of healing itself. So we really don't need commercial medications for most circumstances.
Yeah, and I mean, if you do in an emergency case, or, you know, in a really severe case, but then fix the problem. You know, do what you need to do to get past a certain point, like I would with the antihistamines and inhalers and all, but keep working to figure out what it is that you're doing, what it is that you can change to get better. You know, sometimes we need it because we're too far gone, but try to do what you can to fix the issue emotionally and physically and mentally and food-wise, so that you can treat the source of it and not just the symptom.
And if you let it, you'll be surprised how powerful your body really is.
Yep. So you can rebuild it.
Thank you for watching. In our next chat, we're going to talk about chemicals that we put on our bodies.
Thank you for watching. Your health, your way. So I did, and
and fade out.